Have you ever felt that something strange is happening around us? News, sudden changes, and inexplicable events? Everything seems to point to something greater. But what if these hidden signs are clues to something that few can perceive? Could the Antichrist already be among us, hiding, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? Today, we will explore these clues and discover if we are truly facing a prophecy foretold centuries ago. If you've ever questioned what lies behind certain situations and want a new perspective on what might be unfolding in our society, watch until the end. The answer may be closer and scarier than you think. In times like these, many wonder, what is happening to the world around us? Each day, headlines bring news of abrupt changes, intense conflicts, and seemingly inexplicable events. It's as if there is an invisible force directing everything toward a single destiny. But are we really paying attention to what these signs are trying to tell us? Ancient prophecies warn us about dark times and moments when evil would manifest in almost unrecognizable ways. Many of these signs may seem, at first glance, like ordinary occurrences, but when we look closer, they reveal a hidden meaning that challenges our understanding. This is the time to open our minds and allow new possibilities to emerge. For those seeking answers, the concept of an Antichrist may seem distant, a story from the past, or something yet to come. However, the true mystery may be that it is already among us, disguised, camouflaged in the daily events, ready to manifest at the right moment. This mythical figure has always evoked fear and curiosity, but do we really understand what it represents? Now, I invite you to reflect. What if the signs were already all around us? Political conflicts, global crises, technological advancements that control our lives, are these mere coincidences, or are they connected to something greater? Our challenge today is to open our eyes to what many prefer to ignore. In this video, we will explore the concept of the Antichrist in a deep yet realistic way. This is not about simple theories or abstract ideas, but a journey to decipher the signs that may be surrounding us. If these signs are true, we could be facing something that will transform our perception of the world and even of ourselves. Throughout this series, you will be guided by a renewed perspective, seeking to see beyond appearances and superficial explanations. Here, it is not just about curiosity, it is about understanding the hidden forces that may be shaping our destiny. Ready to embark on this journey? Let's discover together if the Antichrist is already among us. Since the dawn of humanity, prophecies have emerged, speaking of the rise of a dark figure, a being capable of deceiving and seducing the world with its charisma and power. This character, known as the Antichrist, is not merely a symbol of destruction, but a promise that something profound and frightening is destined to happen. But what is the true meaning behind these prophecies? Various religions and cultures have described similar figures that carry the idea of a final battle between good and evil. From Christianity to Eastern traditions, all seem to converge on one point: the arrival of a being that will challenge order, peace, and even the faith of people. But have these prophecies been misinterpreted, or are we truly on the brink of a decisive moment? Each prophecy describes specific signs that would precede the arrival of this entity. Some speak of natural disasters, others of a moral and spiritual disintegration of humanity. Isn't it curious how many of these elements already seem to be part of our daily lives? Landslides, pandemics, political crises, everything appears to align in a troubling way. However, the prophecies warn us that the greatest trick of the Antichrist is its ability to camouflage itself, to act unnoticed. It would not come as an explicit threat, but rather as a savior, someone who seemingly brings peace and prosperity. Perhaps this is why so many ignore these signs, believing they are mere coincidences or common problems of humanity. As we explore each of these prophecies, we realize they are not just vague predictions, but true instructions on how to identify what is happening around us. If we pay attention, we can find subtle clues indicating a sinister presence in daily events, disguised among chaos and order. But then, what prevents us from seeing the Antichrist in action? Is humanity really prepared to recognize its own end? Or are we destined to repeat the mistakes of the past? In this chapter, the goal is clear: to understand whether these prophecies are being fulfilled and how we can prepare for what comes next. Shall we dive deeper? Many of us follow the news daily, but do we truly interpret what is happening in the world? Economic crises, climate change, social divisions. All of these may seem like ordinary problems, but what if they are clues left for those who know where to look? What if these events are part of a greater plan that only a few can see? Some scholars and experts in prophecy believe that certain recent events carry hidden symbolism. They view each crisis and every uprising as pieces of a puzzle, revealing something much darker. For them, the Antichrist may not be just a person, but a force that uses chaos to draw closer. This is a moment to observe with heightened awareness. A clear example is the growing political tensions and polarization we witness today. Our societies are more divided than ever, and this division creates the perfect scenario for someone wishing to control the masses. In times of disorder, the desire for a figure who can bring order and peace is almost inevitable. But that peace may be an illusion, and the price could be very high. What about technological advancements? Many see technology as a symbol of progress, but others warn of the controlling power it can wield. What if the Antichrist used this tool to manipulate humanity, infiltrating our daily lives in an imperceptible way? After all, we have never been so connected and so exposed to external control. At the same time, environmental crises and natural disasters prompt us to think: earthquakes, storms, floods. Could these tragedies be signs that something greater is underway? In various prophecies, such events are seen as harbingers of a time of darkness and despair. The question is, are we attentive enough to recognize this pattern? Ultimately, these signs serve as a warning for those willing to look beyond the surface. Perhaps we cannot prevent what is to come, but we can certainly prepare. This chapter invites us to question: are we truly safe? Or are we already entangled in the plan of the Antichrist without even realizing it? There are signs that are visible to everyone and others that lurk in the shadows, waiting for an attentive eye to uncover them. The true power of the Antichrist may not lie in shocking events, but in the small changes, the subtle influences that slowly transform society. Are we aware of these hidden influences around us, or are we merely observing what is on the surface? One of these hidden signs might be found in something many ignore: the shift in values and principles. In the past, concepts like compassion, unity, and faith were fundamental values. Today, however, many of these ideals seem diluted, while individualistic and superficial behaviors gain strength. Could this be part of an agenda aimed at weakening the human spirit? Another point is the very distraction of the masses. We live in a time of constant stimuli, where information is instantaneous and overwhelming. This bombardment can blind us to what really matters. Who would benefit from a humanity distracted and disconnected from its essence? Perhaps we are being led away from what truly matters without even realizing it. Many believe that the Antichrist would use this distraction to build his influence. He wouldn't need to appear directly. Instead, he would operate from the shadows, shaping ideas, influencing decisions, and changing paradigms. Imagine the power of someone who understands and manipulates these dynamics, steering society to his advantage without anyone noticing. Then there are the emerging new ideologies and movements that promise freedom and revolution, but which in reality lead people away from deeper values. For some, these currents are not a sign of progress, but rather of manipulation. Society is gradually being molded, and the freedom that seems to be gaining ground is, in reality, a disguised prison. This chapter leads us to reflect. Is the Antichrist already influencing our way of thinking and living without us being aware? By ignoring these subtle signs, we may be opening the door for something much greater than we can imagine. Now, more than ever, it is crucial for each of us to begin questioning what seems normal and to open our eyes to what is truly happening. Throughout the centuries, many people have attempted to identify the Antichrist, pointing to historical figures, charismatic leaders, and even systems of government. But what if the Antichrist is not a specific person? What if he represents a force, an idea, or a set of ideologies that slowly take over the world? Perhaps it's time to abandon the image of a single individual and expand our understanding of what this figure truly signifies. In some prophecies, the Antichrist is described as someone who will bring a false peace, someone who will unite nations and promote solutions to global problems. He wouldn't arrive wearing a mask of destruction, but rather as a savior. This idea is even more unsettling, as it opens the possibility that in our search for hope, we might be seduced by something dark. Many scholars speculate that the Antichrist could be a system of values that leads humanity away from its essence. Imagine a world where material success and selfishness become the pillars of society, while spiritual values are discarded. This would be the ideal scenario for a dark force to operate, hiding beneath the veil of progress and well-being. Another theory is that the Antichrist could represent a system of control, something invisible yet pervasive in every aspect of modern life. Technological advancement, for example, can be both a tool for freedom and a means of surveillance and manipulation. Those who wield this power would have the ability to influence the lives of millions, guiding their choices and ultimately controlling the destiny of humanity. But if the Antichrist truly is among us, how could we recognize him? The answer may not be simple, as he wouldn't appear overtly. Instead, he would hide in the small choices we make, in the values we accept, and in the ideologies we embrace. Every time we prioritize the superficial over the profound, we may be making space for this presence. In this chapter, we propose a new vision of the Antichrist. It's not merely a human being, but something more subtle and insidious, infiltrating our culture, our values, and our daily lives. Perhaps the real challenge isn't to discover who he is, but to perceive where he is operating. And the question remains, are we prepared to identify and resist this influence? After this deep analysis of signs, prophecies, and possibilities, one essential question remains: is the Antichrist already among us? In a world where events seem to align in a disturbing way, perhaps the future is closer than we think. As we observe current happenings, we are led to believe that an invisible force might be guiding us toward an inevitable destiny. Many believe that humanity is at a critical juncture where daily decisions could define the course of time. If we look closely, every choice, every small action may be contributing to a scenario that has already been foretold. But are we ready to face the consequences, to confront what has been prophesied? Some argue that recognizing the Antichrist and his signs would be the first step toward resisting his influence. Understanding the context we live in, the patterns that repeat, and the values that are being forgotten could be key to maintaining our essence and steering clear of potential manipulation. Yet even those who acknowledge this challenge wonder, are we willing to face this truth? After all, it's much more comfortable to ignore the signs and accept the world as it is. However, if the Antichrist truly is among us, This indifference may be exactly what he needs to strengthen his position and achieve his aims. At the end of this video, we invite each viewer to reflect on the role they play in this context. It's not just a distant prophecy, but a possibility unfolding in the present. Question, observe, and seek to understand what's really happening around you. You might find unexpected answers by paying attention. We conclude with a reflection. The battle between good and evil is not something that occurs solely in the external world, but within each of us. Recognizing the signs is a way to prepare, to maintain faith, and to be ready for what lies ahead. And you, are you prepared to face what the future holds? If you've made it this far, it means you're willing to see what many prefer to ignore. So don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel to follow more profound and revealing content about mysteries and prophecies. And feel free to choose one of the videos appearing on the screen. Each offers a new perspective that can further expand your vision. Until the next video, keep searching for answers.